Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Thoughts, Feelings, Emotions, a weekly podcast in which we talk about anything and everything that has piqued our interest enough to give you our podcast title on. I'm your host, Daniel Frankham, aka Frankenstein, joined as always by everyone's favourite co-host of the show, Daniel Weller.
Hello.
Let's start off with everyone's favourite segment. What the fuck have we been up to this week, Dan?
So the start of the week, I started rewatching the good Mission Impossible films.
Which ones are the good ones? Because
4, 5, and 6.
I thought the first one was good, considered good.
I've never seen the first one, but I think most people's recommendation is the first one's alright, the second one's
terrible,
the worst.
Then third one's pretty good, fourth one's great.
Well, third one's usually alright, and then 4, 5, and 6 are just better than all the rest of them.
Yeah, I only started watching after 5, basically. I haven't watched anything. I think I've watched bits and pieces of the fourth one, but that's about it, really.
Fourth one's pretty good. I think, because 4, 5, and 6
Isn't that the one where they introduced Jeremy Renner as
comedy?
The potential replacement, and then nothing ever happened?
Yeah, Jeremy Renner was like potential replacement of like 4 and 5. They're kind of
they
teasing
did that
it,
with
and
Bourne
then
as well. It was quite funny, because it's just like Jeremy Renner is meant to take on all of these big franchises, and then no one likes Jeremy Renner enough to actually have him lead a movie.
And then this morning, I watched Spider-Verse, because that just came on Netflix.
I've seen that movie so many times already, and what do you think?
It's actually really good. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I love that movie so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just such a good, it's such a good animated film, and you think it's just it's so good.
I can see why it won an Oscar.
Yeah, I love the one thing I find about that movie is the music is really good, but I can't listen to the music without the movie. Like I've tried to listen to the soundtrack of that movie without the movie, and I just can't. It's just such a good soundtrack for that movie, and it just works in that movie, and it's just perfectly utilized in that movie that I can't listen to that music without the movie. So every time I want to listen to the songs, I have to put the movie on and then watch the entire movie to listen to the song. But other than that, it's great. Basically, after that, I think I've watched The Mandalorian. I don't know if you've watched Mandalorian Season 2.
I have watched it. I watched it yesterday.
What did you think? Big spider.
That episode was great.
Big spiders.
I hate spiders. I have got a sort of arachnophobia, and I was very much cringing or creasing at that moment.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I did feel very creeped out.
Baby Yoda is a serial killer, man. He's such a... he kills some...
It was brilliant.
He tries to wipe out 2 different species, man.
He just keeps eating eggs. And then the very last scene is just him eating another egg. He just doesn't care.
I do like that they've sort of taken the consequences of the last season as well into it, because he's being sort of tracked down by the Is it the Republic? The Republic is
the New Republic.
Coming to take him because he's done a bunch of bad things, and he's trying to. But then he's also done good things, so they kind of at the end just let him, basically leave him to die, because they don't know how damaged it. Like that spider thing crashed through his windscreen, so it's just kind of left to die, basically.
Ooh, just talk about it gives me chills.
I like that little gecko lady. That's funny.
Yeah. The thing is,
I wonder who that's voiced by. I'm assuming that's some sort of big celebrity. They always do that. They always make some big celebrity as
Yeah, and Richard Ayoade come back.
I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was kind of, as soon as I saw that they had the robot head there, I was like, are they going to do it? Because when that what I was expecting, because when they have all that shootout with the lasers and everything, I was expecting the robot to have come back. Did you expect that?
Not really.
Because I was like, oh, he's come back, he's built a body, because he's now basically back alive. Because he was like, that droid's dangerous, you shouldn't have done that. So I was expecting them to kind of bring the droid back, because he might have gone into the system of the ship and used the ship to build him a new build his body back together, and then he maybe because she programmed it with good intentions. I don't know. I just thought that was because I didn't really expect the Republic ships to come back and be the ones to save him. I just thought it would just be the big old robot just shooting stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I did like the flamethrower. The flamethrower is such a sick thing. Also, that fucking jetpack thing where he just at the beginning where he just shoots the jetpack up in the sky and then the little dude falls down.
Yeah, I was sort of thinking, like, are they just going to get rid of the jetpack now?
Nah.
But like, no, okay. Just, make the guy fall to his death.
Also, the Mandalorian seems to be surprisingly strong, because he has to take the entire contents of his speeder and just hurdle it all the way back to Tatooine, Mos Eisley Spaceport or whatever it is. And it's just like, he's just lugging like an entire speeder on his back and a baby Yoda, or the child, as Disney wants everyone to call it. Yeah, other than that, more Star Wars related things that I've been watching. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special trailer, which looks absolutely dumb as hell, and I'm really looking forward to it, because it's just them traveling through all the timelines of Star Wars, and it's Lego, so they can just make fun of it. What did you think? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it. I'm not really a big fan of Lego Star Wars or Lego stuff.
The Lego Star Wars games are great. They're like the best take on Star Wars. I couldn't care less about like Fallen Jedi or whatever it is. I'm just like Lego Star Wars all the way. I'm getting that new Lego Star Wars Complete Saga game when it comes out, because that was my childhood. That was like PS2 level generation of gaming, and I was just like, this is such a good game, and I'm so like pumped for that game. And I also watched Chef, which is a Jon Favreau movie. Makes me really hungry. I watched it because it's a film about food. And it's like, it just, like, right. All, like, food shots and, like, really nice looking food. And I'm just like, and it's about the love of making food. And it's a chef going on a road trip with his son to cook meals in a food truck. And I'm just like, this makes me really hungry. And if you've ever watched on Netflix his Chef show, which is basically the aftermath of his Chef movie, where he decided that he'll just make a TV show about making food with a bunch of like chefs and everything, and it also makes me really hungry. And I watched it at like 9 p.m. and after I was just like starving, so I had to have like a big old meal afterwards, and I was just like, none of this food compares to what's in that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's if you want to watch something that just has really nice looking food, it's on Amazon Prime, the actual movie, I think. I don't know, I can't remember if I paid for it or not. I don't know if it's still on like Amazon as a Prime, but if you're on Netflix, it is a TV show where he just goes around with his chef mate, and they talk to like a bunch of celebrities. Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland and the directors of Endgame are in one of the episodes, and they just go to a restaurant and talk about all like the casting and stuff, and just it's a really good show, but it's
might watch it.
It does make you fucking hungry, because they just cook like such nice looking meals, and I'm just like, I can't do any of this.
Makes you depressed then.
Yeah, and especially with the lockdown and everything coming up, I'm just like, I'm still working, so I can't do anything. I wanted to learn to cook, but I'm just like, I don't have time because I'm still working. But lockdown would have been perfect. Shall we move on to our next segment? Why does this exist? And Long Monopoly is on there. Dan, do you want to explain what Long Monopoly is?
So Long Monopoly is sort of normal Monopoly, but twice the amount of properties.
Mm-hmm.
And each property section is like twice as long. So I think Dark Blue is like 4 or 5 different properties for Dark Blue.
Yeah, basically it's the same board, but they added all of the properties again, or like more properties on the outside of the board. And also they've added a rule. There's a rule version where if you get knocked out, you can still play, I think. And it looks like hell, and I really want to play it with someone, because if you want an end of friendship, this is the game to play.
Well, apparently I have read up somewhere that the game lasts between 8 and 10 hours.
Yeah, well, the average game of Monopoly, I think, lasts between an hour and 2 hours, and they said that this could, like, quadruple it, because it's, like, stupidly long. And I'm just like, I wonder if they'll ever add this to, like, the Ubisoft Monopoly on PS4 and stuff.
I mean, I doubt it. Ubisoft can forget about that game.
Because I know, that game is dead. I like playing that game, but it's buggy as hell, and it crashes all the time.
Yeah, it's a shame, really.
Ubisoft kind of burned that license. I don't know why. I'm kind of curious about it. I would get it, but I just don't. Like, everyone we know is kind of separated, so we can't ever really do it.
You'd have to do, like, a camera facing downwards, and then just, like, it wouldn't work.
I'd love to, if we ever got, like, a group of us in a room, I'd love to record it and put it on my channel. Just because I imagine if we did, like, a drinking game version of it, and we did like a live stream on your Twitch or something at Weller It's About Time. Subtle plug for you, Dan.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There's still no content yet, but
still gaslight him into thinking the name's good. But everyone, please. I came up with it. Let's move on to headliners. Everyone's other favorite segment. I'm gonna stop saying everything for everyone.
There's too many favorite segments.
You gotta pick a favorite, guys. Come on, you can't have all of them as your favorite. PlayStation 5 storage has been revealed by outlets as rather than being 825, it's got 667 gigabytes of storage because of the operating system. I wasn't surprised by this because I knew operating systems take up a lot of space, but it's still kind of a bummer because it's not a lot of space, and if you ever get a COD, you can only really have like one or two.
Well,
and
you say you're not...
And also...
you say you're surprised about the size of it. I am. Like, Linux on a PC takes up about 10 to 20 gigabytes of storage. I think even Windows isn't even that big.
I don't know how... Well, I know the Xbox one isn't a terabyte. I think it's like 870 something. So I don't know what they're doing with these operating systems. But I think it's not surprising because the PlayStation 4 didn't have the full 500 gigabytes when it launched, and the standard terabyte version doesn't have the full. I think PlayStation and Xbox's operating systems just take up a lot of space.
Well, the PS4 was a bit different because it was a hard disk drive, which meant they need to have partitions. So how it sort of worked, every single game and the operating system was different, but it had different partitions, but you can't have a partition to the exact size. You have to have additional space for updates to get downloaded into. But for it to be an SSD, you don't need to partition it. But maybe they still are. Maybe it's got something to do with the SSD bootloader or something.
Maybe. I'm sure someone at some stage will tell us why it's so big. But for now, we don't really know. Apparently, also, the PlayStation 5 won't support external SSD support or the internal SSD support until later on in this life cycle, not from launch apparently. So I think you can still plug in a standard hard drive, but until they patch the console later on, you can't put, because they have that slot for the SSDs. Apparently, you can't use that slot just yet or at launch.
Yeah, it's an M.2 bay for M.2 Gen 4 PCIe.
Yeah, I imagine it's just at launch for maybe a week until it launches in the UK. I don't know, but until they activate it, you can't use it. So if you were looking to upgrade your storage on launch day with a M2 whatever SSD thing, you can't. So it's kind of... But apparently their consoles from like reviewers and everything are pretty good, and they're like a big step up from the last generation. And I'm still looking forward to getting mine, and I'll give everyone an in-depth review when I actually get one.
Yeah, give me your review, because I'm not getting one.
Yeah.
Well, anytime soon anyway.
I'll probably be gushing about it because I'm as long as it plays Destiny 2 at ultra fast speeds, and because apparently I was looking at like review of like Xbox Series X, and the load time on Xbox Series X for Destiny 2 was like 1 minute 50 from like booting up the game to actually getting into the game.
That's still long.
Yeah, no, but that was like on an Xbox One or an PS4, okay. And then the Xbox One X was 50 something seconds, so it's still long. But it's like a minute shorter. And apparently, because I've played it on PC, and it's still long on PC. Like, it's about 30 to 40 seconds. So it's pretty good for, like, Destiny. But on, like, on, like, Spider-Man, it's like 2 seconds. So, I think it's just Destiny's like a loading nightmare. And apparently Red Dead Redemption 2 is also a loading nightmare. So, if you can get them...
Destiny's a bit of a weird game.
Yeah, I mean... We'll talk about it later, but I'm sure. You wanted to talk about Watch Dogs Legion's source code leak? I don't know anything about this.
Right, so the entirety source code for Watch Dogs Legion has been leaked online.
Is the source code just the base game and it's pirating, right?
Yeah, the actual game files. 556 gigabytes of game files.
That sucks.
Have all been released online. Yeah, so if you find it, you can basically get the game for free, because it's all there.
Well, sucks for Ubisoft, I guess.
Yeah, they're looking into it. They don't know who it is. How can you have the entire game get leaked?
I imagine it's not going to affect the game that badly. Because I imagine it's a very specific type of people who are still pirating games, and they weren't going to pay for it anyway, so...
I think it's more the fact, like, how did one person have access to all 556 gigabyte of game files?
I don't know, it's probably a disgruntled... Ubisoft is a very weird company. Also, did you know America call it Ubisoft?
I think I have heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
And it does annoy me.
Get your shit straight, America. Like, come on. It's Ubisoft, not Ubisoft. I don't know if the French call it Ubisoft, but I don't know. UK calls it Ubisoft. It's not Ubi. Do you have anything more to say? Because
no, I think that's it for Ubisoft really, and Watch Dogs Legion. Just a bit sad for them, really, but I think it's worth mentioning.
I haven't played that game. How are you doing on that game?
Oh yeah, I mentioned that. It's quite. Some features are kind of strange and quite good. I think one thing I would have liked is because in the game you have different operators that do different things. So you get like a drone expert, a spy, a hitman, etc. I would have liked it if for certain missions you needed to have that expert.
Yeah, that would make sense, I guess.
But you don't. It's kind of so you have like restricted areas. So like a police station is restricted unless you're a policeman.
Right, that makes sense.
So you can walk in with a policeman, but you don't need to have a policeman to do it.
So you could just get a guy dressed up as a policeman.
Not quite, but you can just basically go in a gun and just shoot everyone down if you wanted to. It can get quite difficult though because there's a lot of gunfire against one person.
How's the shooting in that game? Is it good?
It's quite good. It's third person.
Yeah, third person ain't great.
It's not great, but it's not too bad on PC.
Next on our list of headliners, we've got the SAGE has come out and said that young people who are told to isolate during coronavirus should get free games, which I find quite funny.
Yeah, give me free games.
Yeah, because apparently it's pretty understandable. The people who aren't complying with lockdown regulations are aged between 18 and 29. So they've because of the lack of trust in the government, which I don't blame them. We've got a crap prime minister at the moment.
It could be worse. Could have America.
No, America's fixing their problems. Didn't you hear? They're legalizing all the drugs in Oregon.
Yeah, fix every problems.
Yeah, so give everyone free drugs in America. But yeah, I mean, it's weird. But in terms of they just want basically if you give people free games, then people will stay at home and play video games. Basically what they're trying to say. And it's basically increasing the adherence to COVID-19 prevention behaviors among young people by a scientific pandemic influence group. It's just basically, but on the 22nd of October they said this, and it was just we want to get people to play games so that they don't go outside, which I agree with.
I mean, I would stay home anyway, but if you want to buy me a free game, I'll take it.
Do you know what the British government should do? Give everyone a PS5, and then boom, everyone will stay home. Or an Xbox Series X, depending. You should get a choice.
I mean, I kind of agree, but also don't.
Or you could give them a PS4, give them a last-gen game. They're cheaper at the moment. They'll go...
Buy all the old last-gen consoles and just give
Do you know what they should do? Everyone should get a Wii.
I got my Wii out the other day. The graphics are still terrible.
They never were great, but that's not the point of that. That was just meant to be a family console. It's still one of the highest-selling game consoles of all time.
Yep, that 4080p gaming.
Is it really 4080?
Yeah, it's not HD.
Oh, wow. I swear at some stage they went HD, didn't they? Or 720? Because the original
Well, they haven't got HDMI, so how are they going to do HD?
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. The funny thing about the Xbox Series X is, because at launch, the Xbox ran at 720p rather than 1080p. That's true. That is, or it's like 920 or something. It wasn't 1080p at launch. So any games that came out between until they got 1080p on the Xbox Series X don't run at anything above 720p if they're remastered or they're if you have an Xbox Series X and it came out before Xbox got 1080p gaming like standard definition, it won't run it anything higher. So the PlayStation 5, because PlayStation 4 came out at 1080p, it gets upscaled resed, but the Xbox Series X won't upscale res the 720p games. So
that is really sad.
And also apparently from what I've seen, the PlayStation 5 upscales like any game to a solid 60 hertz refresh rate, and it doesn't drop. Whereas you can see the limitations of the Xbox games previous, because some of the games drop, but they're still pretty high. They're like 54 minimum, but they do drop in the refresh rate, basically. So it's an interesting comparison.
I don't know how well that would work, upscaling the refresh rate.
It's more because if the game has... Because it's basically, I think from what I was seeing, I'm not an expert at this, but from what I saw, the PlayStation, if you have an unlocked frame rate, because there are games with unlocked frame rates, so if a game is locked at 30 frames per second, it will only run at 30 frames per second, even on a PlayStation 5. But if it's got an unlocked frame rate or a performance mode, or like a scenic game mode, it will run it at different refresh rates, basically. But if you do it on the performance mode, where it's just trying to max everything out, the PlayStation 5 seems to do better compared to the Xbox Series X, because of if it runs at like a solid 60, if it's got an unlocked frame rate, or it's I
think it's got to do with sort of how each console has backwards compatibility. So the Xbox runs more of an emulator for the Xbox One X and the original Xbox, whereas the PS5 is almost using like PS4 hardware inside the PS5 because the architecture is so.
But from what I've seen from like Digital Foundry, if people want to check out the video, it's basically if you play a PlayStation like launch title, like a actual first party PlayStation game, it will run basically 60 frames per second at like a solid 60 frames. So like knack, which was like notorious for having a shit frame rate, will sit at a solid 60 hertz frame per second. So like on the PlayStation 4 it dropped to like 24 frames per second, but on an actual PlayStation 5 it will run at 60 frames per second, and it's like a pretty big comparison because I think it's because the vast difference between the PlayStation 4 Pro teraflops and the PlayStation 5's teraflops, because the Xbox Series X isn't as big as jump as the Xbox One X between the two. So the comparisons between how Xbox have, like how people made the it's just watch the Digital Foundry video. It's a lot easier.
I know what you mean, because the Xbox One X, that actually produced 4K gaming, whereas the PS4 Pro produced upscaled 4K.
Which I think it still does for games that have the upscaled 4K. And it's how the PlayStation 4 does the 4K upscaling compared to how the Xbox does it is also a comparison, because I think checkerboarding is what PlayStation use, which is I think does less quality in certain areas but then highlights bigger areas, whereas the Xbox is trying to run everything at native 4K, which is a lot more processing. So but the comparisons between the two are basically not like it looks exactly the same basically. But
I mean, I've always found that between 4K and 1080p there's not a massive difference. You only really notice it in sort of like trees or somewhere there's fine detail.
I think you notice it if you're comparing it directly, because I have my 1080p TV behind me and I have my 8K TV next to me, and when I'm looking at my PS4 on a 4K upscaled HDR, it looks incredible, and I put it back onto my 1080p TV and it doesn't look as bright and it doesn't look as vibrant and it just looks meh. And I
find HDR makes a big difference. That makes tremendous. The colors and the depth is brilliant, but the actual native 4K, I mean, it depends on how close to the TV and how big the TV is. So you've got like a big TV, haven't you? What TV you got?
I've got 65.
You're 65 inch
compared to a 40-inch TV.
Yeah, so that's quite a big TV already.
Yeah.
And how close do you sit to it? Like a meter?
I was sitting like a meter with the 1080p, and then I'm sitting like a meter and a half away on the bigger TV, the 65-inch.
Yeah, so if you're sat like a meter away from your TV, you're going to notice a big difference.
Yeah.
But if you sat sort of a normal TV's positioned, maybe about 2 meters away.
The only thing I found with a 65-inch TV, like at 4K and 8K, is it makes everything else lower resolution. The 1080p look garbage, and it's just anything below 1080p looks absolutely garbage, and it just makes watching standard TV terrible, because it just looks pixely and it just looks absolutely terrible, and it makes watching anything at that just like it's just such a dead format at this point, and nothing should be running at 4040 or 4080 or 720. And I'm just like, kill those formats.
Whenever my dad watches TV, he'll always put on standard definition, and he will never use the HD channels. And you will even go purposely past the HD one to put on standard one.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then I go to him, can you not see the difference?
I've always found that it's difficult to see it when you're not looking at it side by side.
I can see it. As soon as I see an image, I know if it's 1080p or less than 1080p.
I can, but I don't think older people can. And I think unless you're looking at it side by side, it's harder to tell. But from 720 to 1080, I can see a difference. 1080 to 4K.
I think 720 to 1080 is not too bad. It's from
480 to 720. 720, I can see a difference, but it's just it's not great.
Nah, 480 to 720 is.
You look at the comparison between our webcams. That's 720 versus whatever yours is running.
Mine's 1080p.
Mine's 1080p, but yours is a bit more fuzzy. So
I don't know. No, that's just the lines. I don't know what it is, because I've got lines on my drawers, so it makes the drawers look fuzzy. But like, if you look at my hand or something, it look a bit more clear.
On my end, it doesn't. But
I think it's to do with Google Duo.
Fresh, maybe. Anyway.
Also, I've got bad lighting. There's no light behind my thing.
Fair enough. No one can see. But let's move on to everyone's favorite segment. This week, the big one is we're doing the best and worst games of the 8th generation, but it's mostly PS4 and PC. because
Of course.
because basically we decided that neither one of us has really played any Xbox or Wii games, or not Wii, Nintendo. That's the one. That's the company that does the Wii.
Wii U games.
Wii U games that they killed and then made the Wii U the Switch. But neither one of us has played either of those. So we basically decided that our 8th generation gaming parameters for what we're doing of games is from November 15th, 2013 to November 12th, 2020. But those are loose guidelines because basically the 8th generation technically started with the Wii U, which was like 2012. So we've got a rough guideline for when our games could have released. And we've got a couple of rules, basically one game per franchise, so we can't just fill it with like CODs if we liked a bunch of CODs. And we've got basically no past gen games, so if it came out on PS3 at the same time, you can't really do it, basically. Or if it was for example, The Last of Us was a PS3 game that got re-released on PlayStation 4. So, unfortunately for me, I can't have The Last of Us on my list of best games because it was a past gen game and then got remastered for next gen. So that
pretty much no remasters.
Yeah, or like past gen titles that came out roughly at the same time, but they could have, if they were like specifically designed for the PlayStation or like came out for the PlayStation 4 after that date and then released on PS3, you can do it. But anything before November 15th roughly is our guideline. Did you get me?
I get you. I mean, I may have broke the rules occasionally.
Yeah,
but we just deal with it.
It's just our favourite games of the last 7 years or so. So we're starting with our worst games of the generations, and Dan's going to kick us off with his number 5. Basically, we did 5 worst games. We got 10 honourable mentions and then 10 best games of the generation. And we're going to start with worst. So, Dan, what is your 5th worst game?
Now, my 5th worst... It might be a bit common between most people. It's not going to be on your list, I don't think. But my game is Fortnite, my 5th game.
No, Fortnite isn't on my list of worst games.
Yeah, I don't think it would be because you actually enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it.
I didn't. I hated it. I hated every minute of that game.
You were bad at it. That's why you hated it.
I do agree I was bad at it, but there's difference between being bad and just not enjoying the game.
Fortnite at the beginning was good. Fortnite as what it became is bad. But I can't put it on my list because I didn't hate it at launch. I hated what it became.
I hated the building, I hated the third-person action, I hated the cartoony look, I hated the guns, I hated everything about that game. But I also respect that I was bad at that game, and the biggest problem was I never wanted to get good at it in the first place.
Fair enough. I like I said, I liked the game when it came out. I think it changed a bunch of stuff in terms of gaming that I didn't particularly like, but I liked watching it. I thought until like season 7 of the first season, I thought it was pretty good. After like season 7, it got too gimmicky and it became too big for itself, and everyone was playing it, and it just became like suffocating. But I have videos on it if people want to check them out at Frankenstein Gaming, and we had fun. I had fun with it, but I stopped doing it after a while because I was just like, eh. But I that's the reason why it's not on my list, because it's like I enjoyed it.
I mean,
but I can't fault it for that.
It would be low on my list, but it did revolutionize sort of in-game purchases. Because it added the battle pass system, which was relatively new at the time. It got loot boxes, were still a big thing at the time. And
I don't think those are positives.
Well, no, I think the battle pass was good. The battle pass was a good thing because it got rid of loot boxes.
I hate battle passes.
It was a free game. You have to have some. You have to have something somewhere.
Yeah, I get that. I get that it helped build a platform for free games that people then could play, and then it helped make it so that people who would spend money didn't get an advantage, but they got cooler skins. And I was.
I mean, if you want to pay £20 for a skin, that's on you.
And I spent a lot of money on that game. To be fair, I spent a lot of money to buying skins.
Of course you did,
because I had a bunch of skins. Well, you know me. I bought the skins. I bought the Reaper one, or the one with the things. I bought a couple other skins that I thought were cool. I don't regret those decisions, but they were right.
What can you do about it, really?
I think when I bought them when I bought them, I enjoyed them and they were cool, and that was about it. So so yours is number. Are we doing?
Yeah, so mine number 4. It's actually The Crew, released in 2014.
Is The Crew the driving game?
Yeah, it's a driving game, and they did release a sequel, but I never played the sequel. And the reason why it's on my 4 worst one is because I was excited for it, but I just got really bored of it really quickly. I don't think I've had any game where I just got bored of it straight away.
Huh. See, I didn't. I knew of it, I just never played it, because I was like, there are other driving games that I enjoy more, like Gran Turismo or the Drive Club game that had a terrible launch at PlayStation, because it was meant to be a PlayStation Plus exclusive, and then it didn't, and then it couldn't, but...
Well, it kind of was, and...
I always forget about The Crew as a series of, like, driving games, because
that's the point. It's really forgettable. Wasn't that interesting? And that's why it's number 4, and I haven't got much else to say about it, other than I was a bit disappointed and got bored of it.
Fair enough. I mean, are you a big driving person? Like, gaming?
I was in last gen, so people listening to podcasts won't know this, but I missed the PS3 gen completely.
Yeah.
I went from PS2 to PS4. So I was playing the same games on my PS2. I did have a Wii as well, but for like title games, they don't get released on Wii.
No, well.
So I went from PS2 games to PS4. So I had a big jump of
graphical capabilities.
Yeah, pretty much, and sort of the game types and everything. So one of my favorite games to play on the PS2 was a PS1 game called Toka Racing.
Right.
I don't know if you heard of it.
No, never heard of it. What's it about?
Me and my parents were playing until 2 a.m. on the PS2 playing the game. And we were trying to find the same experience on the PS4, but we never actually found a game that we could do it with.
What's the driving on that? Because I can't remember. I think it was a PS3 game, actually.
It's most similar to Gran Turismo, Toka Racing.
Ah, okay. Should have gone to
that's what I'd say. Gran Turismo.
Is it like a stadium, or is it like a racetrack driver?
Yeah, racetrack, yeah.
Okay.
And then you could customize your card and stuff like that.
Nah, I'm trying to think of games that you would... But I'm assuming you know of Drive Club, Gran Turismo, and I'm guessing you tried those.
Yeah, I've got Gran Turismo. I enjoyed Gran Turismo. I did have a go at Drive Club, but the handling was quite difficult.
See, mine was Gran Turismo 5 on the PlayStation 3, so that was my favourite one, just because I just had a bunch of fun with that. Shall we move on to your number 3?
My number 3 is a looter shooter.
Ooh, which one?
Released in 2018, and another game that had a lot of problems at launch, and they're trying to fix, which is Anthem.
Ooh, I didn't put Anthem on my list, mainly because I enjoyed it, but I do understand why. It was a broken game, and we've talked about it in the previous episodes, and I'm guessing the reason why is because you were disappointed at how broken that game.
I mean, there's a part of my heart I really want to like Anthem, but I can't.
See, mine is the exact same thing, but I hate more games than Anthem. I don't hate Anthem. I think Anthem is a broken and buggy and a horrible mess, but a part of me just wants to be able to fly a mech suit. So I can't put it. I can't put it on my worst list.
I do agree. I don't.
It broke your heart, basically.
There's not many games I hate.
It broke your heart, basically, and you have to punish it for that. Whereas for me, I'm more forgiving, and I didn't want to put it on. Should we go to number 2?
Yeah, my number 2. A lot of our friends actually enjoy this game. I think you partly enjoy it too. And I hate it with passion. It's a futuristic game that has jumping everywhere, wall riding, and giant mech suits, which is Titanfall 2.
Ah, okay. It's an interesting...
Which a lot of people enjoy, and I hate it. I hate everything about the game. I hate the movement mechanics, I hate the mech suits, it's just stupid, and you can't say how bad the game, because I can actually do well at the game, I still hate it. It's dumb.
You're just... I get your pain. It is a very difficult game to get into. And because it's fast paced, I don't like the movement system that much, and I think the Titans aren't great, but I do enjoy playing it. I just find it frustrating because it's been out for so long and people have just gotten good at it, and trying to play it when you haven't played it and everyone's better than you, it's a frustrating game.
I just hate the game, and there's so many other games I would rather play, and that one can just die in a hole. I got a free on PS Plus, and if I paid for that game, it would be my number 1 spot. But because I didn't pay for it, it's not my number 1.
Okay, should we move on to your number 1? Because
my number 1, that's just as infuriating, even maybe more infuriating, because I paid for the premium edition of this, which is 90 quid, was Black Ops 4.
Okay.
And I hate this game with every single bone in my body. The I'm a big zombies fan, right? I love zombies through so much, and it kind of changed my life in sort of my view on games, and that zombies broke my heart in more ways than one. They ruined the perks, they ruined the characters, they ruined the maps, they ruined everything. It's terrible. They added specialists. They got rid of a bloody equipment slot for SHIELD. Why? It's dumb.
Yeah, I didn't even bother playing it. I was just like, I didn't enjoy that one. But I have a COD on my list which I hated more. So I'll get into my top 5 list. Unless you have anything more to bitch about on Black.
The multiplayer is dumb. There was no campaign. Blackout was dumb.
Oh yeah, Blackout. I forgot about that. That was a terrible
stories. Just awful. Everything was bad about it. And let's leave it at that, because otherwise we're going to be here too long.
So we'll start with my number 5 of worst games, which is PUBG.
I never played
it. I just hate this game for what it caused, basically. I hate that it caused the genre of battle royales, because it caused...
I understand what you mean.
And it was broken, and it's broken on PS4. It was broken at launch on PC, and it never really captured what I wanted from like a battle royale. Like Modern Warfare has a pretty solid battle royale that I kind of like, but I hate that it caused every game in existence to try and make a battle royale game, and that's why it's my number 5 and it's not further up. Mainly because of just what it caused. Because it caused Fortnite, it caused Modern Warfare, it caused Blackout, it caused Battlefield 1 to make a fucking battle royale. It just caused every genre of gaming to make a battle royale. And I like some of the battle royales that came out of it, but a lot of them, and we're still feeling it, because even this year we still got battle royales. We got Ubisoft's Hyperscape, we got other ones. It just bugs the shit out of me, and I don't think it's a very good game, and I think it was just overhyped at the time because it was like one of the only things that streamers could play that was entertaining enough for them to do. And I just hate the genre that they created, because it just caused an overinflation of too many games that were rushed just to try and get a piece of it.
Like I said, never really played it, but I mean the graphics look bad. Didn't really look.
I played
good.
it when it came out on PS4 for the PlayStation Plus game of the month, and I just played it for like one game and just went, nah, this is still broken. Fuck it, I'm leaving. And that was about it. And I never played it again. And I was just like, nah, I don't see the hype. I don't see why people like this game. And I was just like, this is bad. Moving on, my next one is The Division 2. I liked the first Division, but The Division 2 was broken at launch. I played it for a couple days. I wanted it to be the game that brought all of my friends back together to play a game together, because the first one did that, and then circumstances caused the first one to become hated for me. But I thought The Division 2 had a chance to redeem itself, but it just bored the shit out of me. It was broken. No one wanted to play it. No one wanted to join. You never got it.
No, I got Division 2 on PC.
Oh, did you? Oh, on PC, yeah.
But I didn't pay for it. It came free with my CPU when I paid for it.
Yeah, I paid for it. I paid for that game, and I was just like, wow. I paid for it cheaper, because I only got it like on Black Friday after it launched, and I was just like, even then, it still wasn't worth it. Yeah, and it was just like... My friend really liked the first one, and I quite enjoyed the first one, and I was just like, well, we've got a chance for the new one to come out, and it just didn't do anything. It was just a buggy mess. I've got videos showcasing like early pre-builds and then an actual release date where there's just bugs, like it's just crashes, and it just didn't work, and it just eventually just sits on my shelf going, nah, I'm never gonna play it again. And it just didn't get people playing, and I was just like, well, there's other games that we could be playing together, and it's just like, this could have been a game that brought everyone together, and it just failed miserably.
Yeah, they have a lot of problems, like paying for certain zones and stuff, and missions, and kind of killed
it just wasn't a very interesting story.
Yeah, I was bored pretty much straight away.
Except
I didn't pay for it, so I didn't hate it.
And it's quite funny, because it launched a couple years ago, just before, I think it launched 2019 or 2018, and then it's the same sort of thing that's happening now, a pandemic caused by a virus. And it's just like, it's too close to home, mate. doesn't really sit well now.
Division 2 is the future.
So my number 3 is Call of Duty World War II.
Oh, right, okay.
I hated that game.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone was clamoring for a boots on the ground Call of Duty, and I didn't want that. I didn't want old school weapons. I didn't like it at launch. The social area was a buggy nightmare. Everyone who played it was insufferable. I couldn't stand that. It's like my least favorite Call of Duty. I just didn't play it. Like, I tried so hard to play it with other people, but I just hated every map. I hated playing with people. It bugged the shit out of me. I don't like old schooly timey weapons, because they just piss me off for some odd reason. I don't really care about the World War II setting. It was overhyped to me. It was too expensive for what it was, and I just don't play it. I just couldn't be asked. I just dropped off, and because I kind of wait every like a couple months after a COD releases, because I just refuse to buy CODs at launch, because I'm just like, these suck. And this was the last one that broke that I that was the one that broke me and made me not buy CODs at launch, because I was just like, this sucks. I can't stand this. Did you like it? Because
I actually did. I like the multiplayer. It was actually the first time I did okay at multiplayer.
What was the order? Did Black Ops 3 then Modern Warfare 2?
So what
was the order?
Well, on this generation, it was Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, then World War 2, Black Ops 4.
That's why, because it came out after Infinite Warfare, and I liked Infinite Warfare's movement system, because I like the futuristic jumping jetpacks with fast movement. I don't like slow, sloggy, takes 5 minutes for a gun to reload. Which also leads me into my number 2, which is Battlefield 1. I generally don't like the Battlefield franchise in general anyway, and Battlefield 1 I just didn't like it, because I don't like Battlefield's map systems. I don't like how big they are, how it takes me like 20 minutes to find someone and then I just get shot in the back. I don't like vehicles in like multiplayer maps, because you just get run over randomly, or you can't it bugs me. And I hated it. I don't like Battlefield in general, and this one just pissed me off more.
Yeah, I didn't pay for this one, but I did play the beta. And I found the same thing.
I bought it in a bundle with boring. Hardline and the other ones, and I was just like, I just played it like a couple times, because, again, my friends are like big fans of the Battlefield franchise, prefer it to COD, basically, and I'm just like, no. It's just a terrible franchise, and I can't stand it.
COD custom games, that's where it's at.
Yeah, true. Check out my video. We have a lot of fun there. And my number 1, I barely played it, but it's more caused by the aftermath of what I had to suffer through. Ark Survival Evolved. I had to suffer through every single person talking about this game in my friendship group. I could not stand it. I still have to hear about it from time to time, but that game is absolute dog shite. It's a broken mess. It doesn't work on PC. It doesn't work on PS4. It's laggy, it's broken, it's garbage. You keep having to pay for expansions that don't fix the game. And I played the base game, and I can't stand listening to people talk about it. It's garbage. It frustrates me having to listen to people talk about that game and enjoy it, because it's broken garbage and I hate it. And I want people to play other games. Every time I wanted to get people to play, I had to wait like an hour for someone to walk a dinosaur back to their base so that they could hatch an egg. And it pissed me off, because I didn't have a lot of time when it came out, and I wanted to play games with my friends, but they were all playing Ark Survival Evolved, and it bored me listening to them talk about trying to hatch an egg.
I completely agree. I know. As soon as I heard you say it, I was like, I've completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
I never played it.
No.
But it's really annoying. Because whenever we were playing like COD or something like that, we were waiting for one of our friends to join us. And like 2 hours later, they're doing something tedious that we don't care about, and then finally they arrive, and we stop.
Like,
thanks.
I wanted people to just, because it's for whatever reason, you have to play that game in order to do stuff. You can't not play that game to get stuff done. So if you pause it, because it's a multiplayer game and it's online, and people keep raiding, and every time someone raided their base, I had to listen to it. And I was just like, why do you keep playing this game if you get frustrated with people raiding your base and then you have to build it up again? And it's just like, I don't get it. Because I just had to listen. People going, oh, we got attacked again. I don't fucking care. Like, why do I have to listen to you complaining about getting your base raided? It's fucking like a dinosaur egg that got taken. I don't fucking care.
Deal with it every time. Stop playing the game and join us in COD.
Yeah, just be sociable. Stop being antisocial. It was just the fact that it was just people being antisocial, just trying to play a game that made them miserable. And they kept doing the same thing over and over, because every time they kept moving servers to rebuild stuff, and it was just like, why? Just stop, please. I know someone who's got over 200 hours plus, and it's just like, why? This is not worth it. So yeah, that's my... Yeah, it's not... Like, it was like 1,000 hours or something, I'm pretty sure, at some stage. And I was just like, why? Just please. Just stop. Thankfully, they've stopped now, and they're not doing it as much, but, it could still be terrible. And I imagine on PlayStation 5, if they have backwards compatibility, which I think they do, I might have to suffer through it all over again.
Shall we move on?
Yep, let's move on to our honorable mentions. So these are the games that we thought weren't as good as our top 10s, basically.
Yeah.
Or they hold a special place in our heart, but they just couldn't push over the finish line, basically.
Yeah.
Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
I'll start, because you went last for your worst ones.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 10 spot, I didn't know what else to put here, because I was trying to base on sort of the games.
Are they in a basic order, or they could all be your number 10?
No, I have ordered them, mine, a little bit.
Because mine are all basically, they could be my number 10. They're not in a particular order, they're just more or less what could have been my number 10.
I have ordered mine on how much I enjoy them.
Well, yeah, you stick with that then.
So my number 10, I put Fall Guys.
Ah, interesting.
I really enjoy that game, but, I mean, sort of the lack of maps, and sort of the lack of...
Well, they've got new ones out now.
Because there's a few new ones, but it's not enough still. There's not enough.
I haven't played it since the first 2 weeks of launch.
Exactly, and then if you just add like 2 maps every now and then, it's still not enough because the old ones.
Well, it is a very small development studio doing it. Like I think 4 or 5 people who are working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, it's hard.
So I don't blame them for not putting a lot. And also, they kind of can't expect the success of that game because it was a very... I know they put it on PlayStation Plus, which gave them a big boost, but they still got a lot on PC, so...
I sort of would have preferred it if they sort of waited... If they could wait like another 6 months or even a year and just get more maps. And it comes to actually a point I didn't expect it to be this big, but if they actually gave that an extra year and had twice or maybe 3 times the amount of maps, that game could be so much better, and it would probably be more popular now than it could be in Bad Among Us.
The dethroner.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And that's why it's number 10. That's a bit sad. But
number 9 then.
Well, number 9, another odd one that you're probably not going to expect, which is Overwatch.
I hate Overwatch. I should have put Overwatch on my fucking hate list because I just can't stand that game.
Once again, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed having the mechanics of it.
I will say, I like Overwatch in concept. In execution, I hate it. Because every, short video that they've released, I really enjoy. Like, all the little story character moments and everything that they've released. I enjoy those. But I can't stand the game. I think it's fucking annoying as hell trying to play all those different characters. People are too good at it, and I just get frustrated trying to play it. I played every time it came out on the trial weekend or whatever. I gave it a go, but I just couldn't ever get into it.
I think people made it more insufferable, but the actual game I enjoyed.
Oh yeah, it's a very toxic fan base, I think.
Yeah, the actual game I enjoyed having the sort of different operators and stuff.
Oh, I like all the operators and stuff, but I don't like playing as them. I think if they had a story mode, I would have enjoyed playing the story mode. But just
I would like to play the story mode as well.
Because it's just, I think Overwatch 2 might have a story mode. Apparently, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Overwatch 2 for ages. I know they announced it, but then it just kind of dropped off the map.
But it's sort of the reason why I put it on my number 9 is sort of how it sort of affected my genre, my opinion on that game genre.
It's what sort of genre is it again? It's like a first-person shooter.
Oh, it's like
MMO,
sort of like specialists. Yeah, multi.
Yeah.
MMO. And it kind of brought me to that genre, and I enjoy that genre. But I mean, I kind of wish I had time to play it more. But unfortunately, just more games I enjoy, and that's why it's number 9 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
My number 8 is another game that sort of died off a little bit now, but we did enjoy it at the time, and we had some great moments, which is Dead by Daylight.
Oh right, yeah. And it's fine. I had fun doing my character that would always suck people's dick if they didn't kill me.
I think that's why I put it on there, because we had good moments in that game.
Our groups doing it again recently because I think some of our friends continued to like that game after it sort of died down from our social group, and they're still playing it and stuff. And it's kind of died basically because every time I join a lobby, the killer's not there, or there's someone who's AFK because they're just getting bored waiting, and it just kind of died a bit. So I don't enjoy it really as much. If it's just like a private game where it's all of us in a group, then it's fun. But
so that's what I was trying to say. Like the actual private games in Dead by Daylight was so much more fun.
Yeah, I have a couple of videos if you want to check it out. Again, Frankenstein Gaming. Plugs.
But unfortunately, we have certain friend group members that don't like playing private games because you don't level up.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit stupid because what's the point leveling up if you don't enjoy it?
Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
Just play private. What's the point leveling up? I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't put it on my honorables because I think it's quite low down on like my enjoyability. I think it's just more or less fun for a bit, and then it doesn't hold my attention as much.
Anyway, moving on to my number 7. I have a love-hate relationship with this game, and it's only managed to creep onto my honorables because of recently, when it became free to play, which is Rocket League.
See, Rocket League's in my best list. So this is a very interesting conundrum.
So, as you know, on PS4, I was very bad at the game.
You're still very bad at the game.
Famous moment where I got stuck on the ceiling.
Check out the video. I can't remember what its title is, but Dan has a lovely moment where we're playing a game and Dan says that he's not bad at the game, and then a second later goes, "I'm stuck on the ceiling."
It's a great moment. The sort of my was changed when I was on PS4. I hated it and I couldn't get past Bronze 3 division.
Yeah.
But on PC, I have now managed to get to Gold 2. Which, you know, I know it's not the same as you lot, what you are, but...
Oh, no, I'm terrible. The only reason I ever get high results is because of our friends. Like, we've got someone who is a proper pro at the game. Like, gets Division Platinum and Silver or whatever the highest ones are. Diamond at some stages. But yeah, I love the... well, I'll get into it later on when we do bests, but we'll save it for then. But...
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. My number 6 is Warzone.
Oh.
So I'm not saying Modern Warfare, I'm just saying the actual Warzone part of it. And
interesting.
The reason why I put it there, that's the first Battle Royale game I've actually enjoyed.
See, it's not for me, so it's a good one, but I wouldn't say I love it. I tend to drop off it every time it comes up, and I don't particularly love it because I don't know. It's a bit for me. I like it, but if I play it for too long, I get pissed. It just frustrates me too much because I'm not particularly good at it, and I get good moments. I like it because of the good moments that I get, but a large majority of my COD moments are terrible, and it's just boring, or it's just empty, like running around an empty like area without getting any like gunfights or anything. And then it's because I've had a couple good moments recently where it's like a big old shootout and we're on like roofs and we're waiting for people to fly back in and then we're shooting at them when they're coming in, and it's fun, but I wouldn't say it's my most fun game that I've played this generation. But this is your honorables, so is there anything else you wanted to say?
Well, I've just sort of saying like it's the actual first Battle Royale game I can actually get wins at.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason why it's on my honorables.
It is an easier game to get people to play because it is a COD, whereas like trying to get people to go back and play Fortnite or PUBG or Apex Legends, which was going to be on my worst list, but I decided...
It was as well. That was actually going to be my number 6, but I was like, I didn't quite hit that much.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to my number 5, and I've sort of cheated a little bit for this one, which is the Uno game on PS4.
Ah, okay. I didn't think about Uno. I have enjoyed Uno.
I've had some great moments in that game. Mainly playing with one of our mates. It was just me and him, and then we just kept screwing each other over until at one point we had like plus 30 cards each.
Right.
And it was just it was just so much fun. And I mean, a bit cheating because I played Uno for many years and it came out years and years ago.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm basing on the actual experiences where I had this game.
It is a fun game, Uno, and it does define like generations of things. And it's nice that it's on a PlayStation 4 or PS3 or not PS3, PC is what I meant to say, not PS3. And I just kind of enjoy it on that level. I would say it is a bit buggy from time to time because I have had experiences where if you it does just crash randomly, or the game skips over things for no reason, where it bugs out and it doesn't register like you've actually put down a +4, or it doesn't register a +2 or something. So it's a Ubisoft game, so it's a bit buggy.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't say it's the worst. I wouldn't say it's my. I have enjoyed moments. I don't remember if I have a video. I think I maybe tried to record a video, but it didn't really work out that well. I know I've done a Monopoly one, but I haven't done a Uno one.
That was going on the list, but I was like, actually, I hate this game, so I like it, so I'm not put on my list.
Yeah.
Moving on to my number 4. Once again, it's a bit of a trivial one, but I put the Jackbox game series.
Oh, I love the Jackbox game series, but I just never got to play them because I didn't have people to play with.
And it's only recently, kind of this year, I managed to get into them, but great moments. You get some really funny moments on them. I think one of the favourite ones I like to play is Survive the Internet, where it turns into some not so PC jokes. But once again, it's just good fun with good mates, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I think my issue was that I always just wanted to play them as in the room version, where you have everyone on their phone and they're just playing it in the room, but I didn't have people to do that with every moment of the day. So if I did probably do the online stuff where you can just do it across the world or with other people, I probably would have been able to do it a lot easier. But yeah, I do enjoy those games. I was going to put That's You, that PlayStation Plus game that we played at the very beginning of the thing, but we only played it once or twice and then never played it again. But I had a lot of fun with that when it came out.
Yeah, I think the problem with That's You is that the novelty kind of wears off.
Yeah. And also this was at the stage where I was refusing to show my face to anyone. So I just put a Iron Man or Destiny 2 statue in front.
Which defeats the point in the game where you got to do facial expressions.
Nah, it worked out fine. I just took a photo of a different object.
Anyway, moving on to number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So the dethrone Fall Guys, I put Among Us.
Yeah.
I've only played it a few times, but the times I have played it, I absolutely love it, and I want to play it again. But I just got nothing to play it with, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, you put it in our group chat to see if anyone wanted to play, and I forgot to mention that I can do that if you wanted.
No one answered. I was like, okay, then guess we're not doing it.
I don't think people enjoy it. I don't think people know about it, really.
I don't know how you don't know about it. It's very
Well,
big,
I think people know about it, but they don't want to pay for it, and they don't want to get it on their phone, because it is buggy as crap. It's not very good on the phone. I played it on the phone, and it doesn't work. Trying to do card swipe or maze is just horrendous. And I can't... I think I bought it on PC now, so I'm just going to be, playing it on that if I do.
Yeah, I bought on PC as well.
Because it's only, £3.
And it's fine. It's, it's small. I mean, must have earned a lot of money from it now, but...
Yeah, well, they cancelled their sequel to... focus on making the main one better. So
right, moving on to my number 2 spot, which is a very unusual one, and I've only played it a short time.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual time I played it, I had once again so much fun moments on it. Was Human Fall Flat.
I maybe played once or twice with you, I think, but I just couldn't. I could never work out the controls. I could never climb.
Oh, I could climb out. That wasn't a problem. I could quite easily do the controls as I got into it, and I wish I had the PC version, and I wish I had friends play on the PC version, but I don't, because that has custom maps, and I would love to play custom maps.
Yeah.
But the actual maps I enjoyed, the puzzles, and the amount of stupid fun you can have on that game, I love.
Yeah, I think if you get a group of people that you can mess about with and try and screw you over and drag you off the edge of the map and just mess about with, I think it's a good game. Because I've seen a bunch of people play it on YouTube and streamers and stuff, and it does sound like a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I'm messing around with microphones.
Stop doing that. We're on a podcast.
Yes, I know that, but I'm a fidgeter.
Stop fidgeting. I can see you fidgeting right now. Stop it.
Shut up. Don't tell people my secrets. Yeah.
Anyway, finally, moving on to my number 1. I know you're not a fan of it because you just said it earlier in the podcast, but it's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
No, I didn't say I wasn't a fan of it, but I just couldn't care less. I think it looks fine. I would play it, but I'm not that fussed, is my only concern. I think it looks good. I think if I did play it, I'd enjoy it, but I'm just it was very expensive, and I was just I don't want to pay that much, and I'd get it if it was cheaper. It's essentially...
So I got it on a cheaper. I bought on some website called CD Keys. I think I paid 30 quid for it, which was, I think at the time it was going around for 40, 50 quid everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I played it just after watching the prequels.
Right.
For the first time. So all that was sort of new to my head and everything.
So you had the Order 66 in your brain,
yeah.
And you went, okay, this is all I do like the look of it. I think it looks very good, and I think if I did play it, I just don't have the time to pump into it.
Yeah,
and also it seems a bit sort of focused on trying to make it difficult in terms of the lightsaber stuff, and I'm not great at timing like hits and.
Yeah, it's the parity they call it.
Yeah. I'm not great at those sorts of timing-based combat systems where you have to get your timing perfect for it to actually block. That's why I don't really like For Honor or Dark Souls and stuff, where it's like or parry or like Sekiro or whatever it is, where you have to like time your hits. You can't just hack and slash, which is more my preferred Star Wars style of lightsabering.
They have different difficulties, so they have one difficulty where you can do hack and slash, or I think the normal is parity, but it's not too difficult. But you can put it on like extreme difficulty, and it's harder than Dark Souls. You have to do it that perfectly, and the game was difficult enough without doing that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And as the actual sort of first parity game, like that kind of system that I enjoyed, and I look forward to a sequel, which I think's in the works.
It is so far the only good Star Wars game that EA has released.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I didn't put on Battlefield 2.
Or
whatever the Star Wars Battlefront one.
Anyway, that concludes my list. So,
yeah.
Up to you.
They were the games that almost got into your top 10. Moving on to mine. Mine starts with number 10 at Tales of the Borderlands, which is basically a Borderlands game that is a point-and-click one, rather than the actual standard Borderlands genre of looter-shooter. It was made by Telltale Games, which I think shut down this year or last year because of they pumped out a bunch of games and then didn't have money, and they had a bunch of licenses, and they did a Batman game which was good, and they did a Guardians of the Galaxy game, and they're like famous for the Walking Dead series, like point and click one. And I just really enjoyed the story of it, and it's like the only Borderlands game that I've sort of played all the way through. And it was just a lot of fun because it's got really good characters, and I like the choices that were made. And I think the problem with Telltale Games is that they had a system that kind of said you had choices, but kind of always brought you back to the same sort of point, which is the problem with sort of point and click story based choose your own adventure sort of games. But this one I just really enjoyed, and I don't have much more to say. I didn't know about the because I haven't really ever played a Borderlands properly, so all the characters that are like Easter eggs and everything I didn't really know about or care about, but I still enjoyed the game, which is a testament to how good it is, because I got a lot of enjoyment without even knowing stuff. And that's about it. My number 9 is Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to put it higher on my list, but mine isn't really a list of like in an order, basically. This is just what could have been my number 10, basically. Games that got close to my number 10 spot, but ultimately I decided against putting them higher up. So, Ultimate Chicken Horse, we just had a lot of fun. I just love that game. It's just fuck your friends over, and it's just great. And we've made some horrendous contraptions and death traps and things, and it's just a lot of fun. And I wish we got to play it more. I wish I could convince people to get it on PS4, because it's on PC, and our friendship group doesn't tend, like the core group of people that we play with don't tend to do PC, but we do PS4. But it's trying to get people to buy the game again on PS4 to get us to play it, and it's just kind of like, yeah. But we had a lot of fun, and I quite enjoyed that.
Many a death traps took hours to finish,
and it was just fun to have like the frustration in people's voices as they almost did it, and then when people actually did it, the frustration of people who couldn't do it, and it was just like, fuck's sake. But yeah, I really enjoyed that game. My number 8 is Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a side-scroller Metroidvania sort of style game where you do a lot of backtracking, and you unlock things as you go along and then have to backtrack to get other things. And it's a visually stunning game, and I really enjoyed it. And it's just got a cute little character. It's like a little cat that's white, and it's just a very fun, cute little game that I enjoyed playing. I played it on PC because it's not out on PS4. And I think the studio that made it has a sequel, but it's the studio that made it got bought by Microsoft, so the sequel is an Xbox exclusive, which bugs me. 2 of the games on my honorable mention lists got bought out by Microsoft, so the sequels are on Microsoft, and I'm just like, ugh. So if I ever want to play the sequels to these games, I have to buy them on Microsoft Store, and that bugs the shit out of me, because I'm gonna go PlayStation 5, so it's a bit of a pain, which I don't think hinders these, and that's not the reason why I'm putting them on my honorable mentions, but I just really enjoyed it, and it's a cute little love cute little characters. A lot of my honorable mentions have cute little characters and stuff. So my number 7 is This War of Mine, which is a World War II style game where you play as survivors and you're just trying to go around to different settlements trying to gather stuff. But it's got like a system based where if you go, there's like a morality system and you get raided and stuff, so your camps can get, and you can choose which characters you send out to different camps and stuff. But there's certain story elements where if you go to like a certain area, there's an old man who's blind and you have the option of robbing him. And so if you rob him, you get like, he starts talking to you and he starts begging you not to take his stuff, but you're trying to survive yourself. And it's just a really great sort of dark game. And it's just, it's visually, it's like a 2D sort of 3D animation style where it's like a side scroller and you go across the map and you're just trying to, there's different areas and you're just trying to survive basically. And if you don't build up certain things in your base, you get raided, or you don't find certain things, your characters die. Ugh.
So sad.
Yeah, it's a really dark game. I recommend people play it if you want a sort of story survival game that is a bit different to the standard, like walk around an area and just loot stuff. It's got a darker undertone. Like there's there's kids that die and stuff, and it's just like it's a really dark game, but it's a great game. Moving on to my number 6, a bit lighthearted, but Stick It to the Man was
that one.
Yeah, it's a weird game. It's a sticker 2D animation style. So everything that you have is a sticker, and you slap stickers on to complete puzzles and stuff.
Oh, sounds interesting.
And it released on the PlayStation 4 at like the early stages of the PlayStation's life cycle. And it was like one of the first games that I finished completely. And it's just basically a 2D side scroller, which you just go around and you go collect stickers. And each of those stickers doesn't do stuff, but also does stuff at the same time. So you can complete puzzles using stickers. There's a story base, and you're trying to get back to a ship, and there's an alien and basically your brain gets taken over. And I'm trying to remember because it's a long time ago that I played this, but I had a lot of fun playing it when it came out. And that's one of my earliest memories of PlayStation 4.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, because it was like one of the first games that I went and actually fully completed. And it's got a really fun, goofy art style, and I quite enjoyed it. It's one of those stories that I don't remember, but I remember playing, if that makes any sense. I remember sitting down on my sofa and just enjoying playing.
That makes sense. I mean, I've got some of those on my list as well.
Yeah. My number 5 is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. The reason why it's not higher on my list is mainly because I haven't finished the game yet.
Right.
I'm still working my way through it. I just haven't gone back to it yet. I do plan to. I've got a series and I just have to get back to it. But it's an incredible game, and that is the other game that got bought out by Microsoft, and the sequel is now a Microsoft exclusive, which bugs the crap out of me because that game looks incredible. Because this is a sort of AAA developed, not AAA game. So it looks like a AAA game, but it wasn't developed at like the AAA standard. And it's got incredible motion capture. It's got a schizophrenic sort of main lead female, and the audio, 3D audio, like every time the head voices talk to you, comes from a different place on your audio. So
I know what you mean.
It's really great. The combat is incredible. I love the combat. It is a timed based combat system. So it is the sort of Jedi Fallen Order combat system where you have to time everything. But I actually get this one. That's
what are you good at?
Yeah, one I'm actually good at. That's why I enjoy it. And it's difficult, but it's not too difficult. And it has a system where if you die too much, you have a virus or something crawling up your arm. And it's like a Viking style game. And it's just a black sludge is climbing up your arm. If you die too much, it overtakes you and you die. And you have to it's permadeath, so you have to restart the entire game.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Annoying.
But I haven't died enough times for it to actually overtake me yet. I don't know how much of the game I have left, but I'm enjoying it. I haven't played it in a while because other games came out, and I was just like, I want to keep doing it as a video series on my channel, and I haven't just had time to edit or do anything. So that's the main reason why it's not higher, is because I haven't finished it, and I can't tell you the complete version of the game, because it could have a terrible ending. I don't know. So that's the main reason why it's not higher. My number 4 is Paragon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The reason why it's not higher is because it died. But I love that game, and I'm really looking forward to like the sequel sort of remaster versions that Yeah, Paragon is basically a MOBA, like a free lane. You go down one lane and you try and take down towers. The only one of those game genres that I actually like. And I have videos on my channel and you can see us playing it, and I loved all the characters. But yeah, it just never took off, which is a shame, and then it died, and Epic sadly took all of their focus and put it onto Fortnite. So that was... Fortnite was the killer of Paragon, which bugs the crap out of me, because they took all the developers who were working on that game and then put it onto the Fortnite team so that they could build Fortnite to be a better game. But yeah, they released the assets of that game to the public, so anyone could use those assets, and I think people are working on like a spiritual sequel or spiritual successor, which I'm looking forward to if they ever bring it out. The next one on my list, number 3, is Titan Souls, which is a sort of like a Shadow of the Colossus, but a 2D sort of low polygon textured game, and it's a lot of fun. I have a video where I defeat the first 4 bosses. It's one of those games where there's not any content between bosses. It's just you running around trying to find bosses and trying to take down bosses, similar to Shadow of the Colossus, but it's just a smaller, less visual game, but it's still a lot of fun. The only reason why it's not higher is, again, because I never finished it, but it was a lot of fun when I was playing it, and it's a cute little fun game that I enjoyed. My number 2 is Other Side, which is the only real-time like strategy game style game, like XCOM sort of combat, where you have like enemies that spawn and then they move in a certain pattern and you have to try and kill them, and it's a gothic like black and white red like animations, and you're playing as the daughters of a thing, and every time you die you lose your character, but you have the option to regen them, but if you do that you have to sacrifice another character, and you can only sacrifice the character that is the same level as the character that you died. So it's a game where you're dying over and over again, and it's visually one of the best games I've ever seen, just because I love that art style. And the only reason it's not higher again is because I haven't finished it, and it's quite recent, so I haven't had a full experience of it. My number 1, well, technically what number 1 is Unraveled, which is a 2D side-scroller. Again, a lot of my top honorable mentions are like 2D side-scrollers, because I enjoyed them, but they're not my favorite games of the console generation, but they do hold a special place in my heart. And it's basically you're playing as a character called Yarny, which is a small little red yarn-based character, and it's just cute, and you're doing side-scrolling puzzles, and it's just one of the cutest little games that I ever... As soon as I saw the E3 trailer, I was hooked, and I was just like, this is a game I want to play. And that is my top 10 honourable mentions. You didn't say a lot. Mainly because I'm guessing you haven't heard of any of those games.
Most of us haven't heard. I had no to talk about. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I tried to make my honourable mentions a bit more varied than the standard list. And also they are some of my favourite games, and I did enjoy playing them. Shall we move on to your best game?
Right, yeah, so my best ones, I sort of decided on my emotional attachment to the games. So it's not a objective view, it's more of a subjective view.
Yeah, that's mine.
It's my list, it's my choice.
Yeah, mine aren't, I don't have, technically the best PlayStation 4 games of the generation, because I don't have, a God of War on my list. I don't have Spider-Man on my list. I don't have, some of the big titles. I don't have, Sekiro, or I don't have Bloodborne. I know these are, considered the best games, but these aren't the games that I've played or enjoyed the most, because some of them I haven't even played, some of them I haven't. I tried to play Bloodborne and I couldn't get into it.
It was too difficult.
Yeah, I'm not great, but if other people love them, that's fine. But this is my list, so...
Anyway, get onto my list. Number 10. There's 2 games that have almost made me cry, and this is one of them, which is Detroit Become Human.
Oh, I haven't played that yet. I really wanted to, but I had to wait for it to come out on PlayStation Plus, and then I just never played it.
Well, do you mind if I spoil one of the story?
Go for it. It'll be a while before I play it, and I'll probably forget.
The story is about these androids that become deviant and become sort of sentient. And you play as 3 different characters throughout the story, and each choice you make has a consequence on the ending. So it's very much a story-driven game rather than an actual gameplay experience.
Yeah, because I know that the developer behind it has done some of the games that I enjoyed for the PS3. I know they did Heavy Rain, and they did Beyond Two Souls, I think, for PS3. Yeah. And they're some of the good games that I enjoyed. But yeah, you were going on?
And sort of the ending I got was so perfect and so sad. And the ending I decided to choose, and all the choices are made. So one of the characters is like a detective that hunts down all of the deviants. Then he ends up joining the deviant resistance with a leader. The leader's about to be gunned down by the police, and then they start singing, which then realizes actually these deviants are real people and they have real minds. And another character you have is this woman who kind of develops motherly emotions to another android child.
Okay.
But of course, there's this manhunt going down to kill all deviants, and they're afraid of dying, so they try to escape to Canada on a bus, but they decided to give their ticket to another android deviant, or maybe another human instead, because it wasn't right to steal it from them. So they try to escape the river over a raft, and the raft ended up getting punctured, and they both kind of died in each other's arms from water, and on the other side.
Damn.
And it was really sad, and I almost cried from it. I was like, oh my god. But I felt the ending, as if it was a movie, that is sort of the ending that you would expect from it.
Right, yeah.
It's sort of like a really emotional connection that's just really sad. But they still kind of survived in a way of like, they escaped. And they managed to get it in the end, but they died as soon as they got it.
On a completely different note, I did enjoy the meme of the guy who says to paint something.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, that's beautiful, and it's just like all these dumb pictures of like stupid shit. I did enjoy that meme. Not to take away from your beautiful emotional.
Anyway,
moment.
to get on to something completely different and revolutionized my gaming experience throughout the VR headset of the PSVR was Beat Saber.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. I didn't think about VR games, to be honest, and I own a VR headset. I own two. I own the Oculus and the PlayStation VR. And I didn't think about Oculus or VR. I would agree with you. Beat Saber is a great game.
Yeah, and I love that game. My arms did hurt after a while. I think I actually built up a little bit of muscle playing that game.
Yeah, it's a great exercise game.
I loved it. I wish I had the PC variant where I could have custom songs.
Yeah.
But even with the songs that are on there, I love it. It's a great game. I think it's the best VR game there is, if I'm honest.
I'd agree with you there. It is just an incredibly fun game.
It makes full use of VR.
Yeah. There are some really fucking cool custom setups where if you get like the green screen boxes, and then there's cameras that you can do where you can like, if you record it, you can have your character like actually visually in the game. So it just maps your body to the actual joysticks, and you can, when you're playing it, it's behind you and you actually get the Beat Saber movements, and they're like some of the coolest VR videos I've seen. Yeah, I didn't think about VR. You got me rethinking my lists.
Moving on to my number 8 spot, it's a game that you're not going to expect the slightest, I don't think, and that is FIFA 14.
No.
I know you're not a fan of football.
I'm not a fan of the FIFA franchise or any sports game in general, because they're just the same game over and over again.
So FIFA 14 was the first FIFA I owned, and the reason why it's on my list is because I didn't have anyone to play with at the moment, my dad, and I was 14 at the time, and it was just a great experience playing with my dad.
Yeah,
on FIFA.
Well, the unrelated, but the reason why I like Green Lantern as much as everyone hates it is because I watched it with my dad, and it was just one of those moments where it's just like, this is a bonding moment between me and my dad, so that's the reason why I like Green Lantern, as much as everyone hates that movie, including Ryan Reynolds. But it is an emotional attachment if you do it with someone you love. And it's just a fun moment.
And that's the only reason, that's the only reason why FIFA's on there. I didn't play any of the game modes other than Kickoff, and that's there. Anyway, moving on. Number 7, my first game for about 8 years, from going from PS2 to PS4, and it was Knack.
Oh, really?
And I had to put it on there because, I mean, to be fair, it's a very kind of similar style game, like the way you play it to PS2 games.
Yeah, it's like
the ones I played anyway, and sort of like, you know, the abilities and stuff. And
well, if you ever get a PS5, it does run at native 60 hertz frames per second, and it does, and it is all good. And apparently, it's the perfect way to play Knack.
And well, yeah, like I said, I loved the game, and it was the perfect way for me to start the PS4 series, and I just felt like I had to put it on the list.
See, I never bought Knack, but then I got Knack 2, and I never played Knack 2, and I kind of regretted it.
I didn't even realize Knack 2 came out.
Yeah, there is a Knack 2.
That's the thing.
But yeah,
and I think that's the reason why it poorly performed, because no one knew it came out.
Well, it was meant to be their like tech demo of what the PlayStation 4 could do, and it wasn't just a very good tech demo, because it kind of underperformed as to what they wanted it to do, because it dropped frames, and it's just not a great visual like showcase of what the power of the console could do.
No. Anyway, moving on to number 6, I've put Paragon.
Ooh, you are okay.
Once again, the attachment of the game. When I did make YouTube videos, when I had a channel before I deleted it.
Yeah, I always wanted to ask you about that, but I'll save that for another day.
That'll be another video. We'll save it. And I love that game. It's the first MOBA I ever played.
Yeah, it is. It was the only one I've enjoyed. Like, I've tried to do League of Legends or
Dota?
Dota. Yeah, I could never get into Dota.
Have you done Smite?
No, I didn't enjoy Smite. I tried downloading Smite on the PS4 because it's free, and I was just like, yeah, I'm never gonna play this. This just seems crap. Yeah, Paragon is the only one I've enjoyed. Like, I enjoyed the characters. I had my little cat girl. It was just great.
Yeah, and I look forward to playing Fault 2. It is out now in early access, but I'm going to get it on full release because there's a lot of bugs with it right now.
Yeah, I'd imagine. It's not made by the same people, is it? It's just an independent.
No, Strange Matter Studios.
Yeah, it's an independent because they, like I said, they released the assets to the general public so that people could do what they wanted with it. So
the game looks promising, and I look forward to playing it. They do plan on bringing it to PS4 and Xbox.
PS5
and Xbox. Nothing much more to say about that. Just had a great experience with great friends.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I wish I could have put it higher up, but it died, so I couldn't really give it to it. But I'm glad you did. At least one of us gave it a high position on that.
There we go. My number 5 was Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man 2018.
Yep.
A game I love that game. That was the other game I almost cried at when Aunt May died at the end.
Spoilers! I haven't played.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I know. I saw that scene and I was like, yeah. Okay.
Game came out 2 years ago. It's on you now.
Yeah, I did see that scene because the internet went crazy over that scene because they were like, they killed Aunt May, and I was just like, okay, that seems.
The thing is, you didn't play the game.
No, I didn't care.
If you actually played the game, like
no,
I get the
emotional because I did watch Let's Plays of it where they did the story missions. They did all the all of the stuff, and I did enjoy watching it. I just missed it, and I was like, I can't be asked to pay this much money for it, and I'll buy it when it's cheaper, and then I'm just going to buy it when it comes out on PlayStation 5 with the Miles Morales bundle.
Yeah, I look forward to playing that game. It'll be on PS4, but I look forward to it anyway.
Yeah.
Because they have the same story, so I was like...
Yeah.
And I think one of the best bits that made that scene so emotional was when Aunt May said, I've always known you're Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, it makes it even sadder. She's always known. It was so sad how you had to choose between Aunt May's life and the rest of New York City population.
Yeah.
And of course he made the only choice he could do, which was
save everyone, not just one person.
I wouldn't have done that. Save Aunt May. Everyone else is assholes. They don't care about you. Aunt May. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
You're the Donald Trump of the world. Save one person yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to a game that I know is not popular with many people at all, but it brought me to the open world style games. We have missions and driving around cities and hacking things, which is Watch Dogs, released in 2014.
Oh, which position is this?
This is number 4 for me.
Ooh, interesting.
The only poster I have on my wall being Watch Dogs.
Yeah, I would have thought this would be higher because this was your favourite game, wasn't it?
It's one of my favourite games. It's just the other 3 games are better.
Okay.
It's not that I just can't put it any higher.
I did enjoy Watch Dogs, but I didn't fully play it. My brother played it for me. So I bought it, my brother played it, and I just watched him play it. So it was it was again a bonding moment between brothers, but that's my attachment to it. I couldn't say I love it, but it was a good game. Even though it's buggy as crap and everyone sort of hated it because it was too dark and miserable and didn't promise what everyone promised.
I think most people hated it just because of the graphics.
Yeah, they
in
did.
E3, they showed the graphics off being so amazing, and then the game released and it wasn't. But I didn't see it beforehand. I
didn't. I just went, oh, this looks like a cool game. I'll buy it, and then
I had a £5 off pre-order. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I don't know what game it is, but I can do it anyway.
Yeah,
because I think it was my 3rd or 4th game buying on PlayStation at the time. And like I said, the first game. Well, technically the second game, because I did play Simpsons Hit and Run back in the day on the PS2, but that doesn't really count. I mean, yeah, it's still open world, but it's,
I get
it's
what
not
you
quite
mean.
The same. And I love that game. I've only ever played it once, the campaign, and the reason why is I had a great experience with it. Everyone else hated it, and I wanted to leave it out as I had it.
Yeah.
I feel like if I played it again, I'm not going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's that purity of your nostalgia that keeps it high on your list.
Yeah, and I don't want to ruin it, basically, and that's why I don't play it again, because I don't feel like it's going to just go off my top 10 completely if I play it again. Moving on to my number 3, I've put Destiny.
Ooh, okay.
Specifically the first one.
Mine is significantly higher, but I won't spoil it.
I mean, significantly from 3. Well, only one place that can be significantly from 3 significantly higher would be number 1, but okay.
You never know. Could surprise everybody.
We had a great excitement. We've talked about this many times. We've done a whole episode on it last week.
So you went Destiny, not Destiny 2?
I went Destiny 1, yes. And the reason why I did Destiny 1 is because that's when we were all together.
Yeah.
It's the only game we've actually completed raids on, because we had enough players to do it.
Yeah.
For all the faults it had...
Well, we never had enough people, but we had enough just to get by.
We did have 6 on some raids, but they're just random
we had
people.
5.
That...
The maximum
No, we did.
No,
it
5.
was one of our friends.
No, 5. We never got 6, we got 5.
I'm pretty sure I had 6 on one of them.
No.
Glass.
No.
I'm going to check this later, because you can see it on Destiny 2.
No, we only ever had 5.
I'm going to have a look again in a minute. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Because I remember specifically it was you, me, James, Mike, and Will.
There was another guy as well.
No.
There was. It was like, his name was Steve or something like that.
No.
We had one raid where there's 2 hunters, 2 titans, and 2 warlocks. I will send you the screenshot after this.
I might not be in that one, because I don't remember having 6 people. I only remember having 5. But yeah.
Anyway, you had the Reef, there's multiple social spaces. And I wish they just kept with Destiny 1. Instead of getting Destiny 2, they could have done a lot more that way.
Yeah, that's why, surprise, surprise, Destiny is my number 1. Because
we'll get into it later.
Yeah, we'll get into my reasons why later on. We'll move on to your number 2.
My number 2 is Black Ops 3.
Ooh, okay. That makes an appearance in my top 10.
This was the first COD where we did loads of custom games, and I have spent the most hours on that game than any other game, and it's just pretty much filled with custom games where we had like hours long doing
I think
gun
it's
game.
the second highest amount of content I have on my channel behind Rocket League.
We've had so many games, and that game brought me to zombies. It really kind of, because the first COD I owned was Black Ops Declassified, which was a bit
I've never heard of that.
It was a PS Vita exclusive.
Oh, I had a Vita. I still have my Vita somewhere. I don't know where.
So do I. And then the next one I played was Advanced Warfare, which I sort of enjoyed, and I enjoyed to an extent, but it wasn't like anything revolutionary to me. I didn't enjoy Black Ops 3 multiplayer at all, but I didn't care, because I enjoyed zombies and custom game.
Yeah, I can't remember anything about the campaign on that one. I know everyone kind of liked it, but I don't remember anything.
And sort of like the zombies Easter eggs is what I most enjoy doing. I never actually completed God Trophy, and it will haunt me to this day. I basically completed the Revelations Easter egg, apart from it blue screened on the cut screen, so
okay.
I count that as I completed it.
Sure.
Even though I don't have the trophy for it, and that makes me really sad, but oh well, what can you do? And now it makes me looking forward to Cold War, because it looks like they're getting more the old style rather than Black Ops 4, because screw Black Ops 4. And finally, my number 1 spot for this game of the generation, I've put Batman Arkham Knight.
Ah, interesting.
I love this game. This is the only game I have ever completed 100%. I have so many. I collected over 300 of those Riddler trophies in 300 different puzzles, getting those Riddler trophies, and I love it. And the moment afterwards, I think Arkham City had a better story, and I probably would have put a number 1, but I can't because it's last generation.
I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't get into it. I tried to enjoy it, but I love the combat, but I just don't like the driving or anything like that. I just couldn't get into the driving of the tank vehicle, the Batmobile.
I would put Arkham City higher, but I can't use Arkham City because it's last generation and it's a remaster.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck with Arkham Knight, but I still loved Arkham Knight, and
I get why people enjoy it, but I'm just like, I have a game on here with a similar combat system that I enjoyed more.
And honestly, I now can't wait until Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad game to come out, and Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Those are all kind of games of the same genre, and I love them all, and well, that's my list for this generation.
Right, let's move on to mine. My number 10 is Dust: An Elysian Tale, which, when I describe it, is going to sound like the weirdest game ever. Basically, you play as a anthropomorphic wolf with a sort of fuzzy, furry, fairy cat thing as your companion, and you have a talking sword. And it's a side-scroller, but I really fucking enjoyed it, because it's a hack and slash side-scroller where you don't have your memory. You wake up without your memory, and you have a sword that can talk to you. And as you progress through the game, you slowly piece together what you did before you forget your memory. And basically it results in, spoilers, you were an ex-military soldier who killed, at the same time as dying, another character, and then you two get fused together, and then you're trying to stop your ex-military boss from destroying a bunch of other creatures. And as you go through the game, you sort of discover that all of the creatures that you think are evil aren't evil, they're just misunderstood, sort of thing. It's got great little puzzles. It's one of those Metroidvania games where you go back and collect other things. It was one of the first games I played on the PS4 in the early days, and I recently went back to it just because I was bored and I wanted to play something, and it's still really enjoyable for me, and that's why it's my number 10, just because I went back to it and I just had a great time replaying it, and I wanted to 100% it, and I'm really close, but I haven't got there yet, and I'm just like, I just need time, and I just want to play it again. But yeah, it's a bit weird. It was my first introduction to what a furry was, because I was like, why is this? It's not because it's not a furry, but it's a wolf that can talk, and it's like that sort of style of like anthropomorphic animal that can
so it's a furry.
It's basically a furry, but that doesn't bother me as much, and I just enjoy it. And there's some dumb characters and there's some stupid missions that I don't like, but all in all, I was ecstatic when I got the 1,000 hit combo mission progression thing, because I never got it when I first played it, and then I finally got it in the second run through I did, and it was just a great game, and it's, for whatever reason, it's one of the games that I enjoyed the most on PS4. My number 9 is Gauntlet, solely for the reason that it's a sort of dungeon crawler game with a top-down sort of style where you play like an archer, a wizard, and a warrior. And the only reason it's my number 9 is because at New Year's, like 4 or 5 years ago, me and my mate completed the entire game in one sitting, and we got to the final boss, and it was just so much fun. We did it in New Year's. It was our New Year's. We went from like 8 p.m. to 4 in the morning, or 6 in the morning, or 10 in the morning. I think he left at my house after we finished, and it was just some of the most fun I've ever played. And it's one of my favorite dungeon crawlers where we had memes, we just had a great time, and it was my New Year's, and I just remember those moments, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun.
It makes the game, really.
Yeah, it was just a moment that me and my mate shared on New Year's Eve, going into the new year, and it was just a great day, basically, and I really enjoyed that, and that's why it's my number 9. My number 8 is Transistor, which is sort of like a hack and slash turn-based strategy game, similar to Other Side, which is the game that got me into like turn-based strategy sort of games. I'm not a fan of the turn-based strategies unless they have a really compelling art style or really fun mechanics, and this one has a really fun mechanic system, like where it freezes time and you can go and hack and slash, and it's got a beautiful art style. Again, talking sword. I don't know what it is about talking swords that get me onto my top 10, but it has a talking sword. It's made by the people who... I think there's a game out called Hades, which is really popular with a lot of people. It's made by the same people who did that. So if anyone who enjoys Hades is listening, go back and check Transistor. The only reason it's not higher is because the game file crashed on my PS4, and I was really, really far into it, and I just never went back to finish it because it corrupted and deleted everything, and that's the only reason it's not higher. But I really,
sad times.
Yeah, it was one of the early games I played on PS4 because it came out in like 2014, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's got a female protagonist, which I love. I can't remember the story very well, mainly because I played it like 6 years ago, so I have a bit of trouble remembering stuff. But it was a lot of fun, and mainly was one of the only games that I've enjoyed that turn-based sort of strategy combat system, because I've tried to play XCOM and stuff and I don't enjoy it, and it's just like, also it's got incredible like customization of what you can do with your weapons, so there's like a skill tree, and it's just it's ever expanding, and you have so many different combinations of things that you can do, and it's a lot of fun. My number 7 is a game called Fee, which is a sort of open world game where you go around collecting like shards, and you're like a little black sort of cat-like animal. And it's a music-based thing, so you go up to other animals and you try and match your vocal range to the other animals. I just fell in love with the art style when I saw it, and it's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to ruin the story, because it's not a super in-depth story, but it's just you go around collecting shards and you get upgrades and you try and unlock different areas, and there's a story that goes on that I think people should kind of find out for themselves, and I don't want to ruin it, just because I think it's a special moment that you play as you go along. And it came out in like 2018. It was like one of the EA, similar to Unravel, it was one of the sort of indie EA games that they promoted, and I just fell in love with it when I played it, and it was just a singular moment where I just played it in a day, and it just snapped out and was banger, and I loved it. My number 6 is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, which is the Batman Arkham style combat that I was talking about, where it's that super brutal takedown, click the triangle button to block sort of combat. But the reason why I love it is because of the Nemesis system, which is basically every time you kill or an enemy, they come back stronger, and they have like a grudge against you, and they become stronger, and the way that you kill them, they become resistant to. So you have to kind of think about how you're going to kill them, or if you kill them or you let them run away, but they'll come back with a grudge and try and kill you later on in the game. And I got to a point where I'd killed one enemy over and over again in so many different ways, they basically became immune to me killing them. And it was just, it's the Lord of the Rings world, and it's before all the Lord of the Rings happens, and it's like it's got an okay story. It's not the best story in the world. But just the combat alone made that game, and the just going around cutting off orcs' head. I remember just running around trying to tame a bunch of the monsters that are in the world, and there's like massive ogres, and you can trick the ogres into fighting the orcs, and you can get the like dog-like attack dog creature things to attack the orcs, and you can also ride on them. You can it's just a sort of Assassin's Creed Batman Arkham Knight combo set in the Lord of the Rings world, and I just loved it. It was just a lot of fun when I played it. The sequel, I wanted to play. I paid a lot of money to get a statue of the sequel. I paid like 200 quid to get the collector's edition because I really enjoyed the first one, and I never played it. Well, I played it for about 2 days, and then I got to a point, and the Nemesis system, because they made it a bit more expansive, and they made it so that you had like orc battle systems where you had those orcs that you could recruit, and then you could make them attack other systems. So I didn't really enjoy that as much. But yeah, Shadow of Mordor, solid game, solid combat, loved it. My number 5 is one we've already mentioned, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, simply because of the moments of the gameplay, and it's just been a staple of my channel on YouTube for quite a while, and no other COD has really competed this generation. Like, my favorite COD of all time is still Modern Warfare 2, but this one's solidly up there, simply because of how much fun I've had with all my friends, and just the gun games that we've had.
Yeah, once again, it all comes down to the experience, really, doesn't it? Rather than the game itself.
I think it's just a solid COD. I love the movement system. I love a game. I don't like boots on the ground. I'm not a fan of that. I like fast-paced movement, and I love being able to just jump up to a platform and not have to climb up a ladder, or because that's always my problem. I always run into a ladder and then someone shoots me in the back, and I'm just like, oh, fuck's sake. But I have to get to a place.
But then you can't.
There's no way to jump or climb. There's never another way, and it's just there is when you play Black Ops 3 and you have a movement system that allows you to boost up and get places. Because one of my favorite things is one of the farm maps where there has that window, and you just boost into that window and shoot anyone trying to snipe at people.
Oh, Redwood Forest.
Potentially, I don't remember.
Oh?
But yeah, it's just I love all our gun game stuff. People should check it out on my channel if they want to. My number 4, again, we've spoken about it, Rocket League. Just number 4. Just because it's I just love the moments we've all shared with it. I love the fact that you got stuck on a wall. I just love crashing into James whenever we play and just pissing him off and making him rage. And I love Mike's constant need to be like a dickhead and just not do the game. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's been a game that everyone has gone back to since the launch of the PlayStation 4. And it was almost a game that no one played because I basically had to convince everyone to get it. Because when everyone I knew got a PlayStation 4, it was after it was a PlayStation Plus exclusive. So everyone was hesitant to pay 15 quid for a game. But it's also become one of everyone's sort of favorite games. So I'm glad I managed to get people to pay for it, even though it's now eventually free to play and everyone should play it. But I think
we definitely had good experiences in that game.
It's also the highest
moment.
It's the highest amount of content I have on my YouTube channel. I think I've got and I'm still pumping out videos at some stage because I've got some videos that are coming out where it's just fun moments that we've all shared. My number 3 is the only game I have 100% completed. Rise of the Tomb Raider. I would have put the first Tomb Raider game, but it came out on PlayStation 3 before, and I would have put it higher, but the two games I have above it are bloody fucking great. And my hesitation to put it higher again is because it came out on Xbox first by a year, and the only reason I hated that was because it could have done incredibly well. Because what happened was they put Rise of the Tomb Raider out against Fallout 4, a game everyone had been wanting and everyone had wanted to play, and it crushed Tomb Raider. And so Tomb Raider did really badly in terms of sales, and then a year later it came out on PlayStation 4 and just sold immense, because the Rise of the Tomb Raider game reboot came out on PlayStation 3 and 4. Well, I think it came out on 3 and then was a cross-generation game and came out on 4 later on, and did pretty well on PlayStation and didn't do that great on Xbox. But then Xbox bought like a timed exclusive thing and just kind of pissed me off, because I really enjoyed the first one, and it would potentially be my higher one, but I just really enjoyed the Rise of Tomb Raider. Like I said, I 100% completed it. I haven't got the Platinum Trophy on it because I haven't gone back and done it in hard mode or anything like that, but I've found every single item on that map. I completed all the story missions. I found every single item. I did every single mission. It took me like a solid 6 days to do, just back-to-back gaming. I pumped in like 150 hours on that game, just completing I think like 100 hours or plus on that game. But yeah, it's a solid game. I really enjoyed it. It's not the best story in the world, but I can forgive it just because I really enjoyed the exploration on that. And it's a Tomb Raider game, and that's what you're meant to enjoy. You're meant to enjoy the exploration, and I really did.
Yeah, I never actually played. I mean, I started on the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the ice one, and I started it, and I mean to finish it, but busy. I still have to go around. But I will do one day.
Yeah. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's a good one. It's probably the lowest one on my list of the rebooted ones. Not because it's a bad game, but mainly because the other ones are such solid, good games. I think I'd put Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider at like a rotating list of number 1, number 2, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider at like a number 2, 3 spot, just simply because the other two are so good. But my number 2 is The Last of Us 2. And the only reason it's not number 1 is because of the other game. And this was the hardest decision of my life.
The thing is, a lot of people won't agree with you for Last of Us Part 2. I had a lot of bad reviews that game.
Fuck themselves. This game is incredible. That's because people don't like the fact that they killed the main protagonist of the last game. And I can understand why you hate them. But you're completely ignoring the fact they did that intentionally to make you hate the character that is there. And you're misunderstanding them doing that as them trying to say fuck you. But they're trying to make it so that it's thematically story-based and does things. And that game, I've got a video, I've got 2 videos on it. 2 12-hour live streams, or 1 12-hour live stream, 1 9-hour live stream. And I completed it in 2 days over the weekend, day of release. And you can just tell my enjoyment. You can tell the harrowing betrayal in every moment that they kick you to the dirt and just try and get you to stand back. It's incredible. The world building, you go into buildings and there's a dead body and there's just such little details that I really enjoy. It's a big step up in terms of combat of the first one. The first game has an okay combat system because it's a third person clunky sort of battle system where you go around collecting weapons and you're trying to shoot them. And I replayed the first one before I played the second one, and the second one has a much better combat system. It's terrifying in moments. I generally felt emotions when a story doesn't touch me very much in a video game because I'm kind of half paying attention. This one grabbed me and kept me in the driving seat for as long as possible, and I get why people don't like certain aspects of the game, but the more of a reason why people don't like it isn't because of the reasons that they think it is. It's because they're kind of a little bit sexist.
That makes sense.
It's more sexism towards certain character traits and visual appearances. There's a woman who's got muscles in it that people don't like because she kills the main protagonist of the last game, and they go, women shouldn't be strong and have muscles, and it's like, why do you care? There's also a trans kid in it, and it's like, well, why would the because it's a lot of people, the game had a horrible experience where people leaked certain aspects of the game, And so people basically took those moments at face value rather than in context of the game. So people went basically, trans kid, that must mean she's had the kids had gender reassignment. So no, it's just a kid with no hair, basically. A boy who doesn't have hair and I think identifies as a girl. But they don't shove it down your face, really. It's just kind of, in the moment, it doesn't stand out as much. And it was always going to have a hard time because it's a follow-up to one of the best games ever. And the only reason The Last of Us 2, because I still think The Last of Us 1 is better. But it's a PlayStation 3 game and I can't put it on the list. Yeah. The remaster, I could have, but we made the rule no remaster. I still believe the first one is better, but this one comes so close to being as good. I have problems. I think some elements I'm not a fan of, but overall, it's a stunningly good game. And if you want to watch me play it, I may or may not at some stage when I get time edit down my favorite moments and bits and pieces. But at the moment, it's currently a, I think, 21-hour live stream split into 2 videos, if anyone wants to watch.
If you're feeling ballsy enough, might as well go for it.
Yeah, just skip through all the boring bits. They're not boring, but they're just dead air, basically. I did. No one watched my. There are the ending. I have bits and pieces of issues with, but overall, I've really enjoyed it. I think what it's trying to tell is a very interesting story. But yeah, let's move on to my number 1, which I think a lot of people can tell, and we've ruined it earlier. Is
the game that you spent a lot of money on.
The game series that I had a hard time deciding whether or not 1 or 2. I inevitably decided 1 because it's just in terms of what started it all. It started my love of this type of genre, and no other game that tries to replicate it has ever succeeded. Even Destiny 2 sort of struggles to replicate the magic of the first one. It's just such a good game, and my deciding factor between this one and the second one was the first one has the Red Death. My favorite.
Is that it? That's the one thing.
That and a couple other things, but the deciding factor, because I have things that I don't like about Destiny 1. It takes forever to load. The map's terrible. It's got one of the best solid combat systems ever. The shooting is incredible. I am a god at that game. I genuinely believe I could go...
That's a bit much, but
no, I generally am really good. It's one of the only multiplayer games that I can get first place in the the rankings of like matches. Like I play a COD, I can't get higher than like the highest I get first place like one every like 100 games. Destiny, I'm in the top 3 of matches. I'm like in the top 2 every game basically. And if we're losing, it's because I'm doing poorly. Or I just generally love that combat system. I've made characters on that with the combat system, the gun systems, the character like combos of weapons and everything. I've made characters that are incredibly unkillable because they regen health, they steal health from other players. It's just an incredibly good game, and I really wish they hadn't made a 2 and sort of slotted in the 2 elements into the first one.
Screw you, Activision.
Yeah, I praise Activision for giving it to me, because the only reason it exists is because of Activision paying $500 million in development for the game. And I've loved it since launch. I don't care what anyone says, the story was fine for me. I loved how they've improved it. I love how they listen to the developer, the player feedback. They keep trying to improve it. And it grew into such a loving game. I had a lot of fun playing it with other people. I've had a lot of fun playing it on my own. Like, I just tend to go back to it every now and again, and I just do random shit. It doesn't matter what it is. I just go to a cosmodrome, go to the reef, just walk around, just enjoy it. It's just a hell of a great game, and I'm looking forward to the Destiny 2 expansion that's coming out in a couple of days, and I love this franchise, and it was a hard decision to pick between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, but I think Destiny 1 on its own is one of my favorite games of all time. It's my number 2 favorite game of all time. The Last of Us is my number 1, and I just don't think you can beat the starter. I think there's that place in your heart where it's the one that started it all. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, like I put most of my games.
Yeah, it's the game that I bought a PlayStation 4 for. It was the whole reason I bought a PlayStation 4 was for Destiny. As soon as I saw the trailer, I knew I had to get a PlayStation 4. I was going to get a PlayStation 4, but this that solidified it so that I got it day of launch. And then when it came out, I went to game, I bought it. It was the first game that I could buy when I was 16, and it was the first game that I could buy legally without having to get someone else to buy it for me. And it was the first game, and I literally spent money, played it over the weekend, and then I just kept going back and back and back. And then as other people started to get it, it just became better and better and better. And it's just that snowball effect. And that's my list.
Well done. Yeah, I love Destiny as well, but unfortunately not as much as you.
No, I don't think anyone loves that game as much as me.
No one loves it enough to put over $1,000 into it.
It's close. I'm not sure if it's $1,000 yet, but it's pretty close to $1,000 upwards. I may have a problem.
Well, no. You're fine spending problem. It's fine. That concludes the list.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed that. It's not probably the list that many people would actually agree with, maybe, because there are probably technically better games. Like the God of War game is probably on a lot of people's list, but again, this is our list and we haven't played it, or I own it, I just haven't got around to playing it yet, and I'm sure it's incredible. Like,
I've started playing it, and then time is a thing, and jobs and other stuff that you don't want to do, but you have to.
Also, I wasn't really ever a fan of the God of War games because I never played them on PS3. And I think there's a lot of nostalgia to it that you're missing out on if you haven't played any of the others. Same with, like, trying to think. Like, I can't speak for Spider-Man because I never played it. So, and it's probably on a lot of people's... Because I have on my PlayStation library about 300 games, so picking a favorite was hell of a difficult job. And I just had to go with the ones that I had the most fun with, or I had the most memorable moments, or just stuff.
The ones that changed your life.
Yeah, the ones that caused me to spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on money buying merchandise. And I'm currently wearing a Destiny 2 shirt.
Picture of Ghost on your
and
chest.
I have far too much merchandise that I have a block of paperweight that is a darkness ship that lights up, and it cost me several £100s to get the collector's edition for Destiny 2 Beyond Light, but you know.
It's fine spending problem as well.
Yeah, but you know. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. I think we'll see you all next week. Check us out TF hang on.
You should find the email.
Yeah, tfepod@gmail.com. I got there eventually. I kept forgetting the E because I kept trying to go TF and E, but it's just TFE pod.
Blame the font.
We couldn't get the at symbol to look good.
And symbol, not
at. Check me out at Frankenstein Gaming, Frankenstein on Twitter, Dan at Weller It's About Time on Twitch, me at Frankenstein on Twitch. And is there anything else left to plug?
I think that's it. That's about it for me.
Don't forget to rate the podcast. It helps a lot, I've heard. I don't know how much it does, but basically, I've heard a lot of people go rate 5 or 1 star. But I'd prefer it if you rated 1 star. If you rate 1 star, fuck it, why not? But just be really positive.
We need positive, because if you're not positive, we're not positive. We can't bring you great content.
Yes, like more in-depth shit that we talk about. If you like it, share it. All the fun things that every other host of a show should say, but I can't be asked because it also drives me insane. But, you know, it helps. People may or may not like this. We will give it 7 years and we'll do the PlayStation 5. Dan may get one at that stage.
I'll probably get the Slim eventually.
I'm really curious if they'll do a Slim because it's a hunky, chunky boy, and I wonder how much they'll chop off of it if they made a Slim.
Well, by the time the Slim comes out, they have a similar processor with the same performance, but a lot more efficient. I'm
just questioning how they'll do the cooling if they make it smaller, because the whole reason it's that big is because of the cooling. So
it'll be similar, just be less cooling. It'll be less passive heatsink. Because that's all the console is.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to. Yeah. We'll leave it for next week. Yeah. Peace out, y'all.
Bye.